Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Good morning and welcome back to the BISC GT3 Championship here at the legendary Magny-Cours circuit in France. I'm Matthew Duffin, bringing you all the action today with my co-commentator and producer Sam Fitzpatrick. Sam, we're in France at this rarely used Magny-Cours circuit anymore. It's probably one of France's best circuits that they have to offer, in my opinion. This should provide, I think, some great GT3 action around here.
Yeah, France is a slightly unusual nation, isn't it, when it comes to motorsport circuits? It's got probably one of the richest heritages of any country in the world when it comes to circuits. And yet it doesn't quite have like a Silverstone equivalent or maybe a Nürburgring GP equivalent. Obviously, you've got Le Mans, but when it comes to, for example, Formula One, it's never quite clear where to host it. Do you host it at Paul Ricard? Do you host it at Magny-Cours? This circuit hosted many races in its day. Of course, you've got the Bugatti circuit at Le Mans as well. And so you're absolutely right. It's not necessarily the most used in international competitions. It's not used in MotoGP, for example. It's mainly sort of national competitions, but it is still a lot of fun. It's got a fantastic flow to it. It hasn't changed a whole lot over the years as well. And I'm a big fan of it on iRacing, and I'm a big fan of it as well in these GT3 cars. So I'm looking forward to tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. It's an old school circuit as well. Bit of gravel, bit of grass around the area. So drivers can be punished if they end up running off the circuit. 2.74 miles long with 4.4 kilometres in length as well. We've got the 18 drivers in for this race. The qualifying has just got underway here at Magny-Cours, and we'll take a quick look at the championship standings while drivers just start out laps or first flying laps. It is Ben Snell who is starting to just creep away in the championship at the moment. 13 points clear of Dante Oliveira in second place. Then we've got Vantagiato in that third place. Peter Ferrero fourth with Tyler Craig in fifth. Lee Harrison is P6 with Stevan Devjak in P7. Alex Spinozzi is P8 with Eric Aria, and then Ian Noxie rounding out the top 10 in this one so far, and a championship that has provided some great action at the moment. But Ben Snell just starting to creep away a little bit at the top of the tables. Matthews Brown's P11 from Scott Borman. Then it is Nick Green, Michael Angeli, Ben Mitchell, Andrew Cash, Luke Broadbent, Anthony Edwards, and then Michael Dowsett at the bottom of that second set of drivers. Scott Evans, Hamish Scott, Enes Unal, Jake Squire, Rick DeAndre from Don Bray himself, and it's Grigg, Gillespie, McLean and Pittman down at the bottom of the pack without scoring a point. As we see a couple of Mercedes-Benz and the Ford Mustangs just getting round to either prepare or just finish what will be their first flying lap, coming in towards the final couple of sectors now. 3 minutes into this 12-minute qualifying session, and everybody bore two. Hamish Scott and Michael Massey isn't out there on the track at the moment, but it's Don Bray who is going to set the first time of qualifying, the 1:36.872. Will anybody get close to beating that one as drivers come towards the timing tower now? And Noxie goes 1.2 off the back of that one, as Edwards 1.4 as well. Here is Devjak then in the Aston Martin. Great to see the Aston Martin out there on the circuit, the Australian driver. Down towards the timing tower he comes. Devjak moves up into second place. 1.1 though off the back of Don Bray. So Don Bray already looking pretty fierce with that lap time that he set already. That's a good banker lap, so to speak.
Yeah, it's a very good banker. I mean, the laps will get quicker as the tyres warm up. I think the first flying lap for the drivers is still sort of a warm-up lap, and it's only sort of on this second flyer that they're really going to be able to get the maximum out of the tyres. So yeah, expect that time to be beat, but I mean, Don Bray's already put good enough a top 10 at least with that early time that he's put in there. Of course, that's just going through the hairpin for Stephen Devjak that we're riding on board with, and that's going to be the main overtaking spot on this circuit. But another one, I mean, I was doing a single-seater race around this circuit very recently. This left-hander here, this is a pretty good opportunity to overtake as well, because you take quite a wide turn, and as you see there for Devjak really hesitating on the turn into the corner, and that just manages to get you a much better exit, and you can sort of mug a driver by sticking your car on the inside into that corner. So watch out for that. It might not be so prominent in these GT3 cars, but it's one of the more creative places, because frankly, besides that and the hairpin, there's not many places to overtake around this circuit.
No, and that's the beautiful thing about this circuit, isn't it? It's all about setting yourself up for that overtake in the corners that come up, that you end up getting towards. It's a real challenging track for these drivers, and it's going to be a fascinating one to watch. Like you say, the hairpin corner especially, the greatest overtaking opportunity. You come into this beautiful final chicane. I really do love the last sector at Magny-Cours. It's so technical. You've got to get it absolutely spot on. That can be where time is won and lost, as Devjak then improves on his time. Still 1.2 off the back of Don Bray. Noxie's gone into P number 2, and Vantagiato has moved into 3rd place. There was a spinner in the background there. That's the Ford Mustang. And there is Angeli, who moves into 10th place at the moment. Oh, there's a Ford Mustang having to avoid the back of the rejoining Ben Mitchell there, and that was Michael Dowsett. That would have just cost him a little bit of lap time coming out that final chicane, maybe even an off track as well. So he'll have to try and go again and hope that he can put a on the board in this qualifying session, in which we are halfway through, and it has been a fantastic lap. You have to say Don Bray at the moment has looked top quality out there so far, because he's just not really been under that amount of pressure. Half a second around here, all right, as I absolutely say that, Olivier has got to put it on pole position in that BMW M4, so Don Bray now is under pressure. But I was going to say, half a second around here, very easy to make up that kind of time, because it's so easy to lose it around this circuit.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like 1Xs as well that you can pick up. It's a really tough circuit when it comes to the off tracks. As Don Bray goes in past, and there is that half second that you were saying that you can find. So the tyres really get into their optimal sort of temperature now. So Don Bray back to provisional pole. They're taking such a wide line through turn 3. They're really opening it up. You're almost turning it into 2 different corners, driving it in hard into the first one, and then get more of a turn in for the second part of it, and then of course that exit's so important for this straight up to the hairpin. Don Bray not wasting his time with a toe. It's not going to be particularly useful around a circuit like this. Scott Boorman about to cross the line. I think he's got a lot more capabilities as Scott, albeit this lap is a little bit slow, so I don't think this is going to be an improvement. It was a bad first sector, but I expect to see him on the front few rows of the grid if his performances from the first 2 rounds of the season are anything to go by, as he sets upon another lap.
Snell's just gone into P3 as well, championship leader, 7/10 off the pole position at the moment. As Bowman there looks like he's going to just try and get that one back and hopefully get it back out on the circuit to put in the last couple of laps in. Green moves into 10th place now, but here is Snell, 7/10 separating the top 4 at the moment. Needs to find a couple of tenths to Snell. Be picking up a little bit of a slipstream from the car in front, just punching a bit of a hole in the air for him in his Marlboro liveried Mercedes-Benz AMG. And the thing I love about this circuit is the corners. Absolutely, you just send it into every corner, don't you? But all the slower ones, the chicanes, they just chuck it in, bounce off the curbs, and it's really fantastic to see. But what can Ben Snell do, championship leader, starting to run away and open up a bit of a gap? 13 points was his gap in the championship. Snell's got to try to just carry on with that momentum as Vantigiato there moves up into second place. Full send over both the curbs, out into the final corner, really over the AstroTurf and the rumble strips. Finds a few tenths, but still 3 tenths off the back of the Porsche of Dom Bray at the moment. So Snell just got to find a little bit more as Ferraro moves up into P5. Devjak moves into 7th place. Now the times really starting to tumble. Top 7 within a second of each other. Now when Angeli moves up into the top 10. This is Dowsett in his Mercedes-Benz. Not quite as over the curbs as we saw Snell a moment ago, but it's really sticking to the AstroTurf on the outside to try and open up that corner into turn 1.
Yeah, the 1X out there, I think it's a little bit difficult to see, but you can go all 4 tyres over the red and white curb. It's sort of like keeping a tyre on like the bumpy bit, I think, on the outside. When I was racing around here, I never quite figured it out, to be honest. But iRacing do try to explain that stuff, to be fair. And the rules, as that's a lot of curb. I don't know if that was too much curb for Oliva. It didn't invalidate the lap time, at least, and he goes to 3rd place. And of course, you can take a lot of curb on that second part because the line comes up so short that actually, even if you get a bad exit from that chicane, yes, it might compromise your next lap, like you might well be a 10th down now on this lap coming up, but on your lap that you're ending, actually, if you can just save those couple of meters, even if you're a bit slower, it can actually be advantageous to do that. A little bit less curve for Vantagiate out to that chicane, and it was a good lap for him, goes up to 2nd place. It doesn't look like he's got enough fuel, though, to go for another one, so that'll be the end of his qualifying. It's the end of qualifying for Dombré. Snell goes to the top by 300ths of a second. He pulled that one out. It wasn't the best final sector in the world, actually lost a 10th and a half, but the first sector was mighty. First sector was 2 tenths faster than anything else I'm seeing out there, so fantastic run through those first 3 corners, and it would take quite something from Oliva now to get close to that.
It will indeed, and trying to save it till the end, but the time's still coming down, the track's still gripping up, car's still getting a little bit more pace out of this one. Here is Dante Oliva then. In towards the middle sector he comes now, and he's got to find 4 tenths of a second. Could possibly... No, this will be his last run because the qualifying ends on that 12-minute mark. So Oliva at the moment then coming down towards the final part of the circuit as you see the pit lane to the right-hand side. You're going to sweep round towards it now. Get that curb on the inside. Just use the exit. Now really chuck it in over the chicane, as Sam was saying a moment ago. And again, maybe a little bit too much for Oliva, but he's fully committed to getting it up and over the chicane.
Got to slow down.
And, there we go. Slow down. So he's not going to improve on that time there. So Ferrero's in the pits. Oliva's done. Spinozzi is also in the pits. Here is Angeli in the Ferrari. And he's down in 11th place at the moment. He needs to find 4 tenths of a second to try and move up into that top 9 at the moment. Everybody, Boss, Scott and Massey, have set a lap time in this qualifying session so far. The Corvette Broadbent down in 15th place, 2.7 seconds off the pole time. But I suppose in this qualifying session, Sam, time is won and lost, and it's very easy to just lose that momentum and try and chuck it in a little bit too hard, especially at that final chicane where you can make them mistakes.
Yeah, you were saying earlier on about how you need to throw it into a lot of the corners, and that's absolutely true, particularly like the fast chicanes, and then I think that those first few corners as well, first sort of complex of corners. But then a couple of the corners are so awkward, like the long left-hander I was talking about earlier on, where you could potentially go for an overtake, just goes on forever. Like you sort of turn into it and you're thinking, how on earth is it still going on? It feels like it's more than 360 degrees, that corner. And then the penultimate corner as well is also really tricky, at least for myself. Sometimes you brake a little bit too early, I think 9 times out of 10, and then when you do brake maybe 5 meters later, you miss the corner. And so it is a really tricky circuit, this, on some of the corners, but some of them are a lot of fun as well, and the drivers are going to be able to tackle that in our race 1, which is coming up. And here is the grid for us for this race 1.
Yeah, Ben Snell will be on pole position alongside that of Dom Bray, with Vantigiato in P3. Dante Olivia, in P4, with Ian Noxie. Peter Ferrero is P6. Stephen Devjak alongside Alex Spinozzi in P8.
And then, apologies, I'm very slow on the grid. Edwards is in 9th position, and then it's Michael Dowsett, Michael Angeli, Scott Borman, Andrew Cash, Nick Green, Luke Broadbent, and Ben Mitchell.
And then it is Andrew Cash. Oh no, you've just said Ben Mitchell. It's then Hamish Scott and Michael Massey, who didn't set a lap time in the qualifying, rounding out the last row of the grid. Before we get into the race, though, we'd like to thank our sponsors, the major sponsors, that of Bowden's Own, Premium Car Care Products, and Benji's YouTube channel as well. The other sponsors are then, you've got RaceForge for all your racing stats and analysts, private league and management needs. Hyperspec, the newest sim gloves onto the market, created by sim racers for sim racers. We've got Jack Ashton Sim Coaching, the Hair Forum, RBMX Designs, who do sim racing livery, custom designs. And yeah, this is fantastic. Great support on the sponsorship there for this fantastic championship we have in front of us. The lights come on though for the first time, this time in the race. And we're about to get underway for the sprint, as the safety car will take us away for the formation lap. And yeah, the 10-minute sprint coming up, which is obviously, we've seen this season, especially at Imola, the 10-minute sprint, little frantic, because you've got to get on with it in 10 minutes. You don't really have time to mess around and try and set up overtakes, do you? You've got to get on with it, got to get the moves done, and you've got to try and get as better position as you can going into that second race.
Yeah, because the results from this first race decide the grid for the second race, don't they? So it is really important that you manage to get your way up through the order. But there's so much to lose as well. Like I said, if you drop down in this race 1, then you're going to be starting at the back in race 2. So yeah, you've got to sort of think of it both ways. But yeah, Snell will be looking for another haul of points from that pole position. Will be tricky to overtake. Let's see how he gets on.
Yeah, it will be tricky, to overtake, but he's the man who starts on pole. He's the man who can try and pull away, get a good start. It's going to be absolutely crucial as they head in towards the final chicane now, and let's see what happens for Snell alongside Dom Bray as the lights are about to go green in this one. And Snell's already dropped the throttle with green and go here, and Dom Bray's already on the defensive from the Mercedes-Benz Avantaggiato, then coming in towards turn number 1, manages to fend off the Mercedes there, and the Porsche stays in second place, but Snell got the start he absolutely needed in this one and has pulled away already coming into the long turn number 2. You feel like you're waiting an eternity, as Sam said earlier on. A little driver there in the gravel. I think that was the BMW then of that of Olivier, as the Ford Mustang's getting up the inside in towards turn 3. The Aston Martin in the slipstream with the Ford Mustang looking to make it 3 wide as they head under braking in towards the hairpin corner for the first time. Aston Martin right around the outside of the Ford of Knoxby, and Dom Bray's been spun by Vantaggiato, rolls across the track. That is Olivier who's had to avoid him in the background. And there you've just said, Sam, that it can be the opposite. If you have a spin, you're at the back of the grid for race 2, and for Dom Bray, he's right down the order after a great qualifying.
Yeah, and that's his whole evening ruined, right? Because he's just got to try to recover now back into maybe the top 10 in this race, and then maybe a top 5 in race 2, but that is so frustrating for him. We've got to slow down for Michael Dowsett at the moment. He's clearly cut the chicane. We've also got to change his second place. Ian Knoxville will try to get sort of a lot of replays from this lap 1, and they make contact, and they benefited so much, but they managed to compromise each other, and that was good defense, I think, from Peter Ferraro. Was it? No, I think it was even Dante Oliva. I don't think he had a great start initially, but he's managed to get back up into 3rd position now. But Stephen Devjak, he's the big gainer, and the gap is 5 seconds at the end of lap 1. You're not going to see a bigger gap in lap 1 this whole season.
No, you're not. And Snell did it at the start, didn't he? He's let the chaos happen around him, and then he's done it at the start line by getting away and getting out of all that trouble. And you saw Vantaggiato there was in the wall on the outside. So obviously the contact made has pushed his Mercedes-Benz out wide. Andrew Cash giving a big flash of the lights. I do love the flash on the Porsche. It's really a beautiful thing to see as they chase down after Knoxy now in that Ford Mustang, who's just rejoined towards the end of that lap. We've got Borman here in the Aston Martin on the inside of the Mercedes-Benz, looking for a move in towards turn 3. You still have that little kink towards the hairpin corner we go. The 2 Ferraris just ahead of Green and Angeli as well, having a little battle, and this is Edwards right around the outside, and nearly into the back of the Ferrari was Borman, and somehow nobody makes contact. As I say that, there's 3 more spinners, and I believe that is Mitchell, Edwards and Green all involved in an incident there. All three of them around. What a crazy start to this 10-minute sprint here at Magny-Cours. We're only on the second lap of the race, and this is now Devjak coming under pressure from Olivier in the BMW, really trying to put the pressure on. Olivier made that mistake at turn 2, just running in the gravel on the exit. That compromise is run down to the hairpin, and now he's back up into second place, and 6 seconds for Snell. He is absolutely on a mission in this one. He can sit back and relax now to the checkered flag because 7 minutes left to go with a minute and a half a lap pretty much. It is smooth, plain sailing for him, but Olivier into second place has already checked out pretty much as well.
I think Devjak had a slowdown from that first chicane, but then he seemed to serve it, but then still lost the positions. I don't know if it was just a loss of momentum, or maybe he thought, you know what, Oliver's very quick. I'm probably not going to be able to hold him back anyway. Ferrari also got a slowdown on that lap, so it really is very prominent, and it's basically where you go all 4 wheels beyond the curb through that first chicane. That's the real worrying spot for the drivers, and do watch out for that later on, because we've had a lot of drive-throughs at Mexico City, I think, earlier on in the season, and so it could be the same today, because I think this circuit is maybe even tougher than Mexico City when it comes to off-tracks. Ferrari's going to be under pressure here from Spinozzi. They've got similar liveries to these guys, but they are not teammates. So Spinozzi will be fancying his chance. And then Michael Dowsett as well is catching up. And yes, I might have a look at the replays and see if we can have a review of what happened on lap 1. But it's still going on further down because Luke Broadbent and Guillaume Dombray are having a fight.
They are indeed, and Dombray was last, don't forget, at the end of lap 1 after his moment. He's now back up into the top 10, so he's on a mission to try and get that grid position for race 2, the 35-minute feature race, as they head through the left-hander. This is a little look back at what happened earlier on. So this was the race start. Yes, we'll try and pick up from where Dombray's had his moment. So this is Cash in his Porsche. We're heading towards the hairpin corner now, and as we come through...
No, he just comes to a stop, so he actually survived well, so well done to him. But this one is Dombray, so this is Dombray's incident on that one.
So this is now the Mercedes-Benz going up the inside. Little late from the Mercedes, and then just on 8, Dombray tries to hold the outside line. They just come together and around Dombray goes. A little bit late on the brakes from the Mercedes-Benz over there. I think that was Vantagiato who had the moment. This is Dante Olivier coming in towards one of the chicanes.
Yeah, sorry. I will find the next one. I think the car on the inside there, yeah, if it was Vantagiato, I think he did just check out, didn't he? He could have maybe taken a side to outer line. And then this one, he sort of checked out as well, but you could argue as well that Noxie, I don't know.
It looked like it, the sausage. It looked like it, a little bit of a sausage curb on that one, so you maybe give him the benefit of the doubt, bouncing off the curb into the side. Vantagiato actually came off worse than Noxie in that incident. So Noxie had another moment going round. So that's just spinning the rear wheels up, heating the tyres up too much, and around they go. So Noxie's got to try and recover from that one.
While we were on the replays, I think this has happened between Oliver and Devjak, who are both running very well. Oliver, Devjak is broken so late, and then he's waited for him.
Give him another tap as well on the rear, just for good measure. So easy to do at that corner, so easy to outbrake yourself, and just running a little too deep. And Devjak there, and Olivier there, who's got back up to second place, is now back down to 4th, so he's got to do that work again. And after that, on lap 4, 9 seconds is the gap between Snell and Ferrero, as Dombray moves into 8th place now, and is only some 7 seconds off that of 3rd place. He's only 8 seconds off the P2 man. So can Dombray in 4.5 minutes try and make up a couple more positions in this race? Olivier is only 3 seconds behind Ferrero now in 2nd place. Devjak dropped down to 6th. There you can see the train of cars, and Dombray, wow, he's driving like a man possessed at the moment. Really chucked it in over the curbs at the final chicane, coming in towards turn 1 again. Dombray looking like he's on a charge at the moment, and nobody's stopping Snell, the only man in the 35s on the last time round, a 35.775, 9.8 seconds out in front. He can just cruise this one home, as we've got that down now to Andrew Cash in a fight with Angeli. I think he's just got past Angeli, 4P9, but Ferrari in the slipstream towards that hairpin corner we see again. Cash going immediately on the defensive through the little kink on the inside line, bit better on the brakes, and the Ferrari's just going to have to try and get the up and under. Does he get it done on the exit? No, because we know the Porsche's got good traction on the exit of slower corners, and that's just helped their Cash just open up that gap a little bit more. He stays in front. Mitchell's into the pit, so that looks like a retirement from this race. We haven't had Massey or Scott start this one either, but this 10-minute race, this is what a 10-minute race brings, doesn't it? I suppose a 10-minute sprint brings chaos.
Yeah, that hairpin is so treacherous, seemingly on all parts of the circuit, all parts of the race, sorry. Obviously on lap 1 we saw a lot of instance down at that corner, and then we saw more instance a couple of laps ago, and we may have had another instant here because Steven Devchak is painfully slow. What is going on with Steven Devchak?
Bit of gravel kicked up as well, so I'm wondering if someone has avoided him or if he's been off. I'm not sure, but that's put Dom Bray up into 6th place now. So from last to 6th at the end of lap 1, that's not too bad at the moment, is it, for him? And he's in the pits. So potentially has picked himself up a drive-through penalty maybe by taking a few track limits. He's just been pushing too hard, hasn't he, to try and get a good grid position, and that's cost him. This is what has happened to Borman then. That's Devchak just in front of him.
Sorry,
Devchak's hit the Mercedes.
Yes. Was it Michael?
I believe the red Mercedes is
Michael Angel. No, it wasn't Michael. No, it wasn't Michael.
I think it's Dowsett.
Dowsett. Oh no. So that's how Dowsett. Yeah. Okay.
So there you go, into the gravel, and he's gone slow. Is that to let Dowsett retake the position, or yeah, it is. Look, there we go. Dowsett's going to go through, and Devchak is going to come back up to full racing speed. So hits him off and lets him back past. Knows he's in the wrong.
Yes. Yeah, that's a couple of. He's not making any friends, is he, out there, Devchak? Because he hit off another one, Oliva, earlier on, didn't he? And now he's hit off another one. Catch has got a slowdown here. He hasn't completely served it yet, but he might be all right. I'm not seeing any other black flags. The only black flag I'm seeing so far is for Guillaume Dombré. And of course, you can pick up 4 instants just with like a big contact. So his instance on lap 1, that would have, you know, accredited to his instant limit. So that puts you at a disadvantage, I must say, in the as we might have a change, sorry, between Spinozzi and Oliva, but Spinozzi's holding on.
The two BMWs having a great little scrap. This is the final lap of the sprint race as well. Their time has ticked to 10 minutes, and well, Snell looks like he's on for this race win. It's going to take something really catastrophic to lose 9.8 seconds, but Spinozzi here going on the defensive up towards the hairpin once again as Oliva coming around the outside, getting fully alongside him now. Great bit of momentum for Oliva. He's got to do it the long way through the hairpin corner. There he emerges, looks for the up and under. Contact not made. That's a great bit of driving from the pair of them, and that flash button is working. He is constantly on this, trying to distract Spinozzi in any possible way he can. And Oliva there just not being able to capitalise on the move at the hairpin, and it's so easy to defend that corner, but also so easy to get it wrong. You were saying in the qualifying session, easy to go up the inside at the left-hander. That's put him on the outside though, and he just cannot seem to get his move done at the moment, Sam.
No, if anything, it was an invitation from Ferrari, because he was very, very wide. Is there an opportunity for here? No, Ferrari covers it off. Our race leader is so far ahead. But I think we're going to pay our attention to second and third, because we know that Snell is going to win this race. Oh, what happened? Yeah, sorry, I was going confused. Spinozzi still holding on against Oliva as they head into the final couple of corners. There's no way you're getting past at the final chicane, because it's not really much of a breaking point. And he's going to be able to survive. Great job there from Spinozzi to get the podium.
Indeed it is. Snell wins from Ferrero. Spinozzi P3 with Oliva P4. Borman in 5th place. Oliva gave it a good go into that chicane. I thought he was going to lunge up the inside. As we then get Dowsett, Devchak, Cash, Angeli, Noxie. Dombray's going to come through for 11th place. There's Vantigiato in 12th position. And then we've got Broadbent in that Corvette coming across for 13th place. Green. And then Edwards, we lost Mitchell earlier on in the race with a retirement to Green P14, and Edwards in 15th place. But what a start to this race. A crazy 10-minute sprint in which Snell got away at the start and didn't look back. All the dramas happened behind him. We're going to have a few quick drivers, it seems, in for this 35-minute race, just out of position. So the start could be just as frantic as the sprint race was.
Yeah, that's a very good point, that we're going to have a lot of drivers who are going to be wanting to gain as many positions as they possibly can when it comes to the longer race. And it's been a pit stop as well, I think, so far this season, hasn't it?
So yes.
In the 35-minute race. So that'll be something that the drivers will have to contend with as well. We've got 4 minutes of warm-up just for the drivers to cool down, really, after all that action. Yeah, should be a really good 35-minute race coming up.
Indeed, it should be. I believe we can get the final classifications up for the first race in this one, and we can just go through who was where. We know Snell was a dominant race win for him in this one, and what a drive it was. He got it done at the start, didn't look back, as we've said, and it was a fantastic race. Won by 11.3 seconds. Peter Ferrero, P2, with Alex Spinozzi in third, Dante Oliva in fourth place. Scott Borman was P5 from Michael Dowsett, Stephen Devjack, Andrew Cash, Michael Angeli, and then Ian Knox. He rounded out the top 10.
Yeah, then it was Guillaume Dombré, Ivan Vantagiato, Luke Broadbent, Nick Green, Anthony Eduardes, Ben Mitchell, Hamish Scott, and Michael Massey. And that was everyone. Talking of Michael Massey, and we all know the famous Michael Massey. I don't know if it is the same Michael Massey, but we do have live race stewards, I think, for the first time in this race. There may be some drive-through penalties potentially given out. In such a quick 10-minute race, it's very tricky to give out penalties in time for that. So I don't know if there might be some penalties which are sorts of given, or maybe some end-of-line penalties potentially where drivers on the formation lap have to go to the back of the grid. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, watch out for that one, because of course most of the penalties will be the instant limit breaches, but there might also be some human interference as well when it comes to those race control decisions.
I've always said that stewarding is one of the hardest jobs in racing to do, and to do it in 10 minutes, that's going to be some bits to look at.
It took us 10 minutes to get to the replays, didn't it? So that's how tricky it is.
And there was plenty of drama for the stewards to look at, wasn't there, in that race as well? They'll be busy to keep their eyes on that one, and we'll see what penalties get added, possibly to the end of the race one results when they get fully classified later on today. There's Angeli then coming through on just a bit of a warm-up, 4 minutes, like Sam said, just to maybe make a change or two to the car. Maybe the drivers wasn't happy with something. Let's not forget they've had 2 weeks to get ready for this race, so it's been an interesting one to get ready for. They've had a bit more preparation. Obviously, we've got a week till Jerez, I believe it is, we get to go to
lovely.
next time now. To be my first time doing Jerez, so I'm looking forward to that.
I mean, honestly, for me, like an A-star circuit. I think it truly is one of my all-time favourites to drive around. It is so it's so good. It's so satisfying. The corners are just like they're sort of, you can imagine a lot of the corners being made with a pair of compasses, sort of how they're constant radius and stuff like that. But they just flow so nicely into one another. There isn't really a bad corner. Hopefully we don't use the chicane near the end of the lap and just go with the motorbike circuit, because that's got a really good flow. Overtaking's tricky, but no, it will be. I'm not sure about the racing necessarily. I'm not sure if it will be the best racing circuit ever, but the drivers should enjoy it a lot. It's a wonderful circuit to drive.
Well, look forward to bringing you that one. That is next week on the 10th of November. We then have a little week off once more before we head to the Red Bull Ring on the 4th of November. Then it's back to Spain for the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya on the 1st of December. A week break once again, and then it's over to the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, or Mosport as people know it by, and then over to Phillip Island on the 22nd of December to end the season off down there. So an interesting looking calendar. Nice to see that we get 2 back-to-back races, bit of a week off, so it gives the drivers a bit of rest, time to regroup, time to refocus. It's not just one constant after another where the drivers have got to constantly be on it and getting ready for the race. This should be an interesting one. If I remember rightly, didn't we speak to a few people? I can't remember if it was this or another broadcast I've done, but I'm sure somebody said that they didn't even have Magny-Cours and had to get it for this week. I can't remember if I'm getting my the
I
broadcast
would
mix.
not be surprised if a lot of our drivers here didn't have Magny-Cours, because like you said earlier on, it's not used a whole lot in World Motorsport, and that sort of translates over into iRacing as well, that it's not necessarily the most used circuit. So hopefully they've felt like it's their money's worth for this one. I'm seeing at the top of the standings for this one, is it a full reverse? Is it a full reverse grid? I don't remember it being a full reverse grid in previous rounds. But maybe that's just something for this round, which I forgot was the case. So my bad on that one. So that means that Ben Mitchell is at the top of the grid then, followed by Anthony Eduardes. And Ben Snell, we can get an onboard with him. It's all the way back here. He's not even got going yet.
No, he's not even got going yet. And this tight, tricky circuit, as we've said, to overtake, well, we said the carnage that with the likes of Dom Bray and Vantigiato out of position, they're now, look, on the third row of the grid. So they're kind of more in a normal position where they'd kind of roughly be, and it's Snell the one who we've got to watch coming from the back, as well as Oliver in that BMW. Looked very racy, as did Devjak in the Aston Martin. So we'll see what them guys can do from the back of the pack. But yes, full reverse grid. I'm sure it was where you'd finished at Imola, so yeah, maybe a bit of a change there. So full reverse grid, love a reverse grid because it is exciting drama on the opening of a race. 35-minute feature race. So it's still not a long time to get it done, especially on a tricky circuit to overtake like this one, but it gives you that 25 minutes extra just to try and get advantages over the other drivers, especially with, we believe, there is a pit stop to make as well. I believe there was one at Imola, so this could be crucial. Through the final chicane they come for the second time this evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are across the world, and we get this race underway, and it is Ben Mitchell in the Ford Mustang who gets a good start already, looking 3 wide. Bray, Vantigiato and that of Broadbent in the Corvette in turn 1. Dom Bray comes out on top in that one, and there's a car off in the gravel. That is the BMW then of Spinozzi in the background on the exit, and already a good start out front from Dom Bray, making up a couple of positions, as is Snell. There was another car there just in the gravel, and a lever just having a few connection problems as you were just disappearing. You saw him momentarily, but Mitchell and Edwards going at it in towards the hairpin for the first time. The Ford Mustang on the inside as we go 3 wide once again into the hairpin. That is Broadbent. Vantigiato, was he just spun on his own there on the exit? And Vantigiato and Noxie for the second time on lap 1 come together at the hairpin.
Yeah, it was going so well, and I was thinking that these guys are very close. This would be a miracle for them to get through it, as too much damage it looks like for Vantigiato. Oliva's got a slowdown now, so this might cost him quite badly. He's cut the chicane as Devjak goes off the circuit. And that looked like he was by himself as well. It's so easy to spin by yourself on the cold tires a bit. We'll get some replays a little bit later on. Ben Mitchell did really well to hold on against Eduardes down in the hairpin on this lap 1. Could have very easily have locked up a brake, but he is struggling on the cold tires, trying to warm them up, and Eduardes is going to have an opportunity here. You see very few overtakes into this penultimate corner, and Mitchell again is going defensive, but this isn't what these guys need. They won't be pulling away while they got the clean air. As look at the send from behind from Guillaume Dombré. He can see a race win coming his way, and he's up into 3rd position from 8th on the grid.
Yeah, that was a very committed move there. As you just said, we don't see many overtakes into that corner. Dombré full send up the inside. Great clean move, Oliver, is absolutely loving that flash button today, flashing everybody that is in front of him to get through. Dombré has to be the favourite. Vantigiato into the pit lane. That could be a retirement with the damage he got out of the hairpin. Noxie as well down the order, so he's got work to do. Spinozzi into the pits. So he's had a first lap pit stop for Spinozzi then to try and maybe get that out of the way and get some clear air running, as Dombré now looking up the inside of this of Edwards. Later on the brakes is the Porsche as the Mustang turns through the right-hander, and Dombré gets the move done. The better traction out the corner for the Porsche. Look at all the gravel on the circuit being brought up from the earlier spin of Noxie and Vantigiato, but Dombré now has to be the man in the box seat, sat in 2nd place. Snell's up to 7th from the back of the grid, so it's been a good opening few laps here for Snell as well in this one, as he's looking around the outside of Oliva, who just keeps disappearing on him a little bit. So just be distracting Snell ever so slightly as he's all over the back of Broadbent in the Corvette, and Oliva trying to make the move on Broadbent here then. Into the right-hander they go, right then left once more, round the outside. Can he hold it? It's a strong move that from Oliva in that BMW M4. And he'll have the inside line for the next part of the circuit. Broadbent still holding it strong in the Corvette around the outside. This is a great bit of racing as Don Bray's put it pressure. Will stick with this for the moment, and Oliva has to sealed that position, and now looks up the inside at the penultimate corner. Is that one? Yes, it is, and has then. Broadbent lost out to Snell as well. No, Snell wisely backs out of that. Oh, too much curb on the second part of the chicane for Broadbent, and around he goes all on his own as Ferrero into the pits, and Mitchell has once again hung on in there over Don Bray. Vantagiato back out on track, couple of laps down, but it's great to see him back out there.
Slide for Mitchell. He was actually a good first couple of corners for him, but now that's left him vulnerable once again. He would have been safe into the hairpin, but now he's going to have to go all the way to the side of the circuit. Doesn't give Don Bray the inside line. Now does Don Bray go for the outside, or does he try to get the cut back? He tries to go all the way around the outside. It's going to be a good exit for Don Bray, but he's still slightly behind. A little bit of movement, a little bit more movement, forcing him onto the curb, and now they're alongside. Can either of them get through this safely? Great move from Don Bray. He was just enough ahead. He had the momentum as well. Would have been so tricky for the pair of them to get through that chicane without picking up a slender had they gone alongside. But Don Bray's exit from that hairpin was just good enough, and he's into the lead. And now he needs to try to pull away before the likes of Oliva and Snell get their way past Mitchell, Eduardo and Green.
Indeed, and you have to say, if that's any other car other than the Porsche at that hairpin, you're probably not getting the momentum out of it. The traction that Porsche can produce out the slower corners is fantastic. So the Porsche there really helping Don Bray out. Bit of good driving from the pair of them as well, but to Don Bray, if he was in any other car, I don't think he gets that move done. This is a look back at the overtake then, or is this the Vantagiato moment earlier on? So
instance. Oh, he did get hit.
Oh no, he did get hit. So he did get hit by Noxie, and then taps Noxie, and they spin each other up. The Ferrari's done so well not to be caught up in that incident.
Yeah, who was that? I'm not quite sure. Maybe Angeli, maybe, who got... Or was it Green? No, Green was in another place. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, that was that one. Noxie then got involved. Noxie then had a second crash, like seconds later. Maybe it was all linked to the same thing. But there he goes. Obviously gets spun round, and then maybe his car is damaged or something because, yeah, I'm seeing it. Oh, he just had another spin. Devjak was the next crash. This is a couple of corners later.
Let's see what happens. He was in the wars in race one, just outbraking himself a little. Oh no, this was him losing it on his own, wasn't it? Came in too hot, rear went, and yeah, round she goes. The Aston Martin just didn't want to comply there on the cold tyres of lap one. This was the move from Broadbent. Just had his nose there. Sorry, from Snell. Snell had his nose there. Broadbent too greedy on the second curb, and just so easy to do. Car's bottomed out over the curb as it drops back onto the tarmac. He's spun himself around, lost his rear spoiler for good measure, so that'll be hurting the rear aerodynamics of that Corvette then. Don Bray already has a 2.6 lead over Mitchell in this race, so he's checked out at the moment. Oliva and Snell, 5th and 6th. You see them there in the background, both running in the red and white liveries of their respective cars. But Ben Mitchell hanging on over Edwards in this one thus far. They've got Green to cover them off before Oliva and Snell. And Snell's just biding his time here, isn't he? Oh, they really attack them final curbs, which are quite high curbs for Paul Ricard. A lot of them seem pretty flat on the apexes of the corner, but the final chicane, really high curbs, and the car's bouncing over them. As you can see, this beautiful first sector. Bit of flow to this first part of the circuit before you get to that technical end of it, of the lap here at Magny-Cours.
Yeah, big fan of that first part of the circuit. Yeah, really does flow well, as you were saying before, and this could be an opportunity for Oliva on green. I think it's a little bit of a tricky situation right now for Snell because Oliva's a quick driver, but I think Snell's faster. But Oliva's not fast enough to sort of cut through the field like butter on the likes of Green and co. And so, yeah, Snell's not quite fast enough to get past Oliva. Oliva's not quite fast enough to get past Green. At least very quickly, and not as quickly as what these guys would be hoping. As you can see all the gravel out there, that will compromise your grip. And well, if you're Oliva, I'm sure that's what you're blaming on why you've just missed the apex through that one. And yeah, Green is holding up these guys, and Borman is getting involved. Dowsett, we had a comment in chat earlier on saying how quick Dowsett is today, and he is having a good time. It had a very good race one, and even Cash, and because Devjack, after his earlier issues, is catching up. Dowsett, by the way, with a slowdown, but I think he'll be all right. I don't think he will lose a position from it, as Green is going to have to go super defensive, and Oliver's got to be looking in his mirrors now, because Snell is going to go for it if he doesn't. But there goes Oliver. I think that's the second time he's made a move into that corner, and he's just got to keep his cool head as Green don't take too much curb, but soon Snell is going to be passed as well, and that will be an easy move through turn 1.
Snell's just got it done through the chicane, read it like a book, and got the momentum down the start straight, gets the move done into turn 1. So every time Oliver tries to put a car between himself and Snell immediately there and finds a way through as well. So Oliver just cannot shake that Mercedes-Benz of Snell off the back of him, but Nick Green hung on as long as he could, and now he's got Borman coming alongside him, and Borman's got on that inside line for the hairpin corner. Aston Martin pulling alongside the Ferrari. There they are, just bumping doors a little bit too much there, and through they go. Edwards has got past Mitchell for second place. That was done at the hairpin. You can see that there, a flash of the lights from Mitchell, so maybe a little rough and tumble between them two as well, but Borman is past Green, so Green's lost 3 places now since the final couple of corners, and this is what happened to Edwards and Mitchell coming down towards that hairpin corner. A little bit far back is Edwards. Nothing wrong with what Edwards did there. The Ford Mustang just broke himself.
Yep, went deep. Yeah, I'm not sure what the flashing light is. Maybe it's I let you pass. I definitely didn't outbreak myself. I was just being tactical, all tactics. So yeah, Eduardo's up into second position. Oh no, that's a hard cut, and that's a hard hit. Nick Green involved, and we'll get a replay of that. Vantagiato, I think, may have been involved. Oh no, Vantagiato is like a lap down. Uh-oh, this might be controversial.
And Devjack was involved as well, so Devjack's made contact again with, I don't think it was his fault though, I think he just got caught up in the cars spinning. As Vantagiato a lap down. Do not send it on another car. Oh, and is that Dowsett who's just lost his front bumper because of all of that, I believe? It may be.
Yeah,
it is, yeah.
It looked like it went initially, and then maybe it reattached itself. And then, who else? Did someone else lose their front bumper as well?
Not sure. I know Devjack got caught up in the Ferrari coming back across the circuit, so yeah. But if you're Vantagiato there, you've got to be a little bit more wise to the cars around you. You're a lap down and went up the inside. Not really close enough to make a move to try and unlap yourself either. So, yeah, for Vantagiato, a little bit silly, and that's where the stewards. Oh, is that a broken front right suspension on that Ferrari? Not pointing in the right direction. So that'll be a pit stop for Nick Green to make, and his race has just gone from bad to worse since Oliver and Snell got past him. And Snell is actually looking at the timing tower. He's got himself ahead of Oliver now. So the Mercedes-Benz of Snell is up into third place. And look at that car just crabbing its way through towards the final sector it goes. And that would be a nightmare to drive at the moment.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for him right now. I don't know why he didn't come into the pits at the end of that previous lap, unless he just went through one corner and didn't have a good enough judge of what the car is like. But he's still got that pit stop to make, so I'm sure he will be in any second now, as he'll be overtaken. This is actually going to be unlapped by Vantagiato again.
Well, I don't kind of know what the Mercedes is doing, because he's surely got to have more pace than Green, and yet has just kind of sat behind him for the entire lap. But either way, Green's into the pits to repair that damage. Vantagiato now can carry on his way in this race. But yeah, day late, dollar short on that move to try and unlap himself, and that's kind of really ruined Nick Green's afternoon. One man though who's had a pretty poor sprint and a great second race, Don Bray here. Hopefully won't get that drive-through penalty again for the track limits that we saw him receive, or we believe that he received for in the first race. He can just cruise a little bit. Approaching the halfway stage of this first race, he's got a good 7.5 seconds gap back to Edwards, who's got Snell right behind him, you see there in the background with a lever. So the more Edwards can hold Snell in this fight, the more that's going to allow Don Bray to just pull away ever so slightly. Don Bray is currently now the only driver 35 with a 35.769. So the pace is there for Don Bray today in the Porsche. We saw that in qualifying and we saw that in race one. So he's got the pace to try and maintain this gap, but it's how quick Snell gets past Edwards and how quick Snell can try and catch onto the back of Dom Bray. Mitchell having a good race up in P5. He's got Borman in the Aston Martin just behind him. Obviously, we're expecting drivers in to make pit stops in this one as well, so it's about they're gonna call this one to come into the pits and get this one done. As Green is back out there on the circuit, and Mitchell.
Oh, he's got a black flag. Oh, he hasn't just sped, has he? I don't think he had the black flag before he came into the pits. So I feel like he may have just sped on pit entry. We'll watch to see how long he's stationing for. If he's stationing for more than 10 seconds, then he's got a speeding penalty. Yeah,
that'd be an absolute shame for him in this race, because he was going quite well up in pit. And the pit entry, bit of a tricky pit entry, not for the driving, but for the drivers who's trying to take the final chicane, because you kind of just straight on instead of turning right. So where drivers may be braking to take that final chicane, you can kind of just be caught out by a driver coming into the pit lane. Reminds me of Canada in a way a little bit, the way you just come straight into the pits there at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. But yeah, Mitchell definitely seems to have a penalty on board that car, because this is a lengthy pit stop, been in there for 37 seconds. And we'll take a look a little bit.
Yeah, so I might need to go a little bit further forwards. Let's see, Ben Mitchell.
Yeah. Oh.
I don't know, it didn't look awful, did it? But
no.
Yeah, he definitely... I'm pretty sure the black flag only popped up when he entered the pit lane, so yeah.
What a shame, because he was running in a strong P5. He's back out in 13th place, and we'll see what can happen when others have pitted. Nick Green, after that broken front right, he's back up into P12 out there on the circuit. He's not a million miles away from Dev, Jack and Spinozzi as well in this race, so possibly can try and get on the back of them with a good bit of pace now that his car's fixed and pointing in the right direction. Snell has now moved up in second place. They've both got ahead of Edwards as Snell and Oliva, so they're up into second place as Noxie comes into the pit lane then for his stop. So Snell can now chase after Dom Bray, and he's starting to put 1.1 between himself and Oliva then in this race. So Noxie in the other Ford Mustang, and there is Snell and Oliva moving themselves up into second and third ahead of Edwards, and they can chase after the race leader now. And Snell, since getting in clear air last time round, a 1:35.762, fastest lap of the race, and was some 3/10 quicker than the Porsche in front of him.
Yeah, let's see if we can get the gap graphic up to see the gap between these drivers as the race has gone on. That's not terribly useful, is it? But if we increase it to that, oh man, no, that's not very useful at all. So apologies for that. I don't know why it randomly went up to 110 seconds according to our overlay at one point, but there you go. We tried. I like that graphic as well. But we'll keep an eye on it anyway for the rest of the race. It's 7.5 seconds. I think that's too far. I think as long as Dom Bray doesn't make any mistakes, he should be fine. He will be driving well within himself as well. With the, you mentioned it earlier on with the 1Xs. Even that's not a 1X, even though he went on the grass. I think he'll get away with it. He kept the wheel on the serrated curb there, which I think is the limit. So he'll be driving with himself, and that might cost him like 1/4 of a second a lap. But I think he is fine. And that last lap's now only 0.2 of a second faster. He needs 1/2 a second a lap if he's going to catch before the end of the race.
He's done well to get 110 seconds back. Let's put it that way. It's only down to 7. So he's done rather well still. But yeah, like you say, it's got to be at least 1/2 a second or more a lap that he's got to gain over Dom Bray. Dom Bray can drive within his limits, just manage that gap. And that's all Dom Bray's got to do here, is try not pick up them 1Xs, try and maintain that gap. Snell is clearly pulling away from Oliva, so he's not bringing Oliva with him just yet. Oliva was a couple of tenths slower. This is Angeli down in 16th place, who's a lap down, and Vantigiato, who's been in the wars again in this second race, obviously hit that of Green, who was a lap down. Ben Mitchell, after he looked like he came back out of the pit lane, so he's done a second stop in this race. The time he tells only number 1, so yeah, I'm not sure why.
It was just very, very long.
So he's back out 40th place. He's a lap down. Broadbent's near enough a lap down, 1:27 down to the leaders. They're just coming in the background. And then Green, whose race, since Snell and Oliva got past him, his race just kind of fell apart, didn't it?
Well, he has made his pit stop, so we will see where he comes out. I mean, he's 8 seconds behind Noxie, who is his teammate. What is alright? I think that's just a blink for advice for a second there. Then we've got DevJack just in front of Noxie. These are some of the front runners of the drivers who are pitted. I'm not sure if Spinozzi and Ferrari are going to have to come into the pits again. I can't quite remember what the limits are when it comes to the fuel tank capacity. This is a fixed setup series, but I'm not quite sure if there's an actual fuel limit as well, so I'm not sure if you can pit on that point. Get to the end. Oh, that's off, and DevJack goes wide, and Noxie is through. So a mistake there for DevJack. But yeah, these guys pitted pretty early. Spinozzi pitted on lap 1, Ferrari pitted on lap 2, and they didn't have particularly long pit stops, either of them, so I don't think they've got enough fuel to get to the end. The good news for them is an extra pit stop here probably is less costly than almost any other circuit. You mentioned Montreal earlier on, but that is sort of similar. That's probably the least amount of time you're going to lose at a circuit. This one is a close second because, yeah, you cut that final chicane. The pit lane's generally just very short. I think it used to cause quite a few issues for Formula 1 back in the day, the fact that the pit lane was so short, but in iRacing, as we can share the pit stalls, it doesn't really matter too much to us.
No, it doesn't, and that's the bonus here, is you're not going to lose a lot of time through that pit lane on pitting now. But just go back to DevJack there, made another mistake. He's had pace today, real pace to challenge for a podium, and if not a top 4 position, just making it one too many mistakes in the sprint and this feature race at the moment. So, yeah, not the race that DevJack would have wanted. The pace has been there, just not put it all together. This is Anthony Edwards, P4. He's got Borman on the back of him, doing well to hang on to P4 at the moment. Obviously, he's lost out to Don Bray, Snell and Oliva in this one. And he's now got Borman in that Aston Martin just behind as they come through into the final sector, the final chicane of this lap. And the Mercedes-Benz has been a pretty useful car around this Magny-Cours circuit this afternoon. And Borman, what can he do to get past Edwards? Closest fight on the circuit as well at the moment. And yeah, Borman's had some good results today. He's looked all right, hasn't he? Not you know, the best pace out there, but he's been consistent, and that's what can win you races or get you better positions in races. Keeping it on track and doing what you need to do, as Edwards kind of jinked to the inside there. Not sure what that was all about. That's opened the door for Borman. Up the inside into the hairpin. Yeah, gets to the apex of the corner.
I don't know if he was like laying him past, perhaps on that one where you're sort of gesturing, yeah, just go to the inside, not going to fight you, maybe thinking that it's going to happen inevitably. So we've got another 15 minutes to go and pit stops to be made for these top drivers. So yeah, not fighting that one too much. So yeah, Borman, like you said, a good performance from him. He started 14th, which means that he finished in 5th position in race 1. So yeah, 2 top 5s is really strong. We have seen him very consistent this season, haven't we?
Yeah.
He's at none of the rounds has he been faster than your Don Brays, your Snells, your Olivas, but he's sort of been the best of the rest on the most part, and he's driving the Aston Martin, so we like him for that. We also have Aston Martin cameras as well now, so we hear the Aston Martin engine in all its glory.
And this is the Evo version, if I'm correct.
I think you might be right. Everything seems to be an Evo now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is. They don't just release a different version, they just release an Evo version of the car as the top 4 or the top 3 come into the pits, and Dowsett joins them in there as well. And I've just been looking at lap times, previous laps. Snell is not gaining at all on Dowsett. That gap has maintained throughout to 7.5 seconds. So Snell just cannot make the inroads. But it's not about winning every race, it's about winning a championship. And sometimes you've got to take the rough with the smooth in these races, as all 3 drivers. Good pit stops, in and out they come. Ferrero, I think, was coming through the final corner there to maybe get past Dowsett on the pit exit. But there is Don Bray, and Ferrero does get past Dowsett on the pit exit. So move there for Ferrero to move him up the order. So we're just waiting for Cash and then that of Edwards and Borman into the pit lane for their stops in this race. But yeah, if you look at that gap, I think Snell's gained a little bit in the pits there.
He has gained quite a bit, yeah. That's not very useful either. We will get, let's see if this one's useful. There you go, the gap falls at 7.8. That's just 6.7, but it hasn't updated because they haven't crossed the line, so it's now down to 4.7. No fresh tyres for these drivers. There's a Cash has got a slowdown, by the way. So not quick there. So yeah, that's you know, taking a decent chunk out of it and might make Dombray sweat a little bit. We've got just over 10 minutes of this race remaining. So yeah, keep an eye on it. By the way, we've also still got Ferrari to come into the pits because he pitted too early. And I'm not sure about the likes of Dev Jack and Co as well. They may have to pit again for the end of the race as Borman and Eduardes come into the pits. I'm not seeing any speeding penalties for these guys.
Yeah, so they're all coming into the pits to do their mandatory stops. And so Dombray will take back the lead of this race, and Snell will follow him for second place. Had his Vantagiato a lap down in this one after damage on the opening lap at the hairpin corner. Oliva comes through into P number 3 and Borman P4 now. Cash also into the pits for his stop as Ferrero moves up the order into P6. Dowsett gets ahead of Cash as well. Green's got past Spinozzi, so he's up into 11th place. So a good comeback at the moment for Green. Some 9 seconds off the back of that of Dev Jack then. As this is Ferraro going wheel to wheel with that of Eduardes, sorry.
Yeah, you just came out of the pits, but Ferrari doesn't still need to come into the pits again. So if Eduardes is smart, he'll not fight this one too much. Ferrari's now right on the tail of Borman as well, who's also just come out of the pits. Seems like the drivers sort of struggle. Oh, that's risky. And it seems like the drivers struggle quite a bit coming out of the pit lane, which is unusual because, you know, they're not taking new tyres. I think the tyres cooled down a little bit, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing either.
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure, but yeah, they all seem a little bit sketchy coming out of the pits. Borman is overtaken by Ferrari, but like I said, Ferrari does need to pit again and will pit probably on this lap or the next one, so there's no point in these guys fighting too hard. Dowsett is on these guys after pitting I think a lap earlier in comparison, and he is not far behind now, just half a second behind his fellow countryman.
And yeah, I agree with what you're saying there, because Dowsett, who's pitted that lap before, got his tyres back up to that optimal temperature and range, just seems to look a little better at the moment than that of Eduardes and Borman so far. Obviously, their tyres just coming now probably back into that optimal temperature, but it does seem to really affect them, doesn't it? Everybody seems to have been a little bit slidey and struggling on the outlap after the pit stop. So, yeah, keep your eyes on Dowsett, whose tyres will be looking a lot better than the two drivers in front. That is Noxie in the background, who had that drama lap 1 as well, so he's done well to recover back up into P8. Another guy with pace today just hasn't put it together with some form of incident or another. The gap out front, 4.7 seconds, and last time around the two leaders have matched each other. 200 separated them in terms of lap time. That went way of Snell, but the gap down to 4.7 seconds as here comes Borman on the defensive over Eduardes, and in towards the hairpin corner they go now, and we stay as we was. So Ferrari running P4, but with a pit stop to make at the moment in time in this race. It's Dombray from Snell, Oliva, Borman is your top 5, and this is the battle for that P5 between Borman and Eduardes in the Aston Martin and the Mercedes-Benz. Then as they come through, Dombray's actually opened that gap up to just over 5 seconds.
Oh.
Momentarily, Borman stopped the rear, all on his own. Rear goes around, and what a shame for him because he was in such a strong position.
Blimey. I mean, that came from nowhere, didn't it? So his tyre suddenly blew up or something. But he was struggling before that, wasn't he? He'd overtaken Eduardes a few laps ago, and then Eduardes was piling on the pressure, admittedly not really going for a move. I think he realised that Borman was going to find his pace eventually. But yeah, he's just had a spin, so yeah, really unusual there. I'm not sure why that car is behaving the way it is. Got some interesting comments in the YouTube chat, by the way. I'm always a big fan of drivers or of spectators supporting drivers, but the way that Aussies and Dobbs are doing it are unusual, I'd say. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but it's unusual. So yes, very interesting literature in the comment section at the moment. But yeah, it's good that you're such a big fan of Michael Dowsett, and he is doing a good job. And with that spin for Borman, it means that Dowsett's now up into 5th position.
Yep, because Ferrero's just made his pit stop as well, so that's put him up another position. Can he gain on the back of Eduardes to gain onto that P4? Gap out front, 5.1 seconds. So Dombray has kind of answered back to Snell's better pit stop as Green moves ahead of Cash for 9th and 10th. This is the end of that battle, and Cash still on the rear as they come towards the final part of this lap. He's almost pushing him through. Gets alongside now. Oh, is this towards the hairpin? Towards the hairpin. We saw Dombray around the outside in the Cash is going to look for the up and under, but he's just cost himself a bit of time there running too deep on the entry in towards the hairpin. So Cash will have to try and find this one a little later on. Snell's brought that gap back down to 4.5 seconds, so just ebbing and flowing between. At the moment, they've dropped Oliver, so he's not really in contention for this gap. Just ebbing and flowing as Snell, there he is, he emerges from the chicane, was over 5 seconds, then went down to 4.5. So both these drivers just being stronger at different points of the circuit, and there you see the gap.
Oh, sorry.
Between the no, sorry, that's Snell and Oliver. There we see the gap from these two, from 7 seconds all the way down to 7 at the moment. So Snell's doing an okay job. I still don't think it's enough at this stage of the race. We're into the final few minutes of this race, and he's got to start going. That half a second that you mentioned, near enough a second a lap.
Yeah, it does need to be about a second lap, doesn't it, in order for him to catch from here. So yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to happen, but it'll still be a massive point score for Snell, who I think was already leading the championship going into this round, wasn't he? So
yeah,
he would just extend that even further. A successful day for him. Is that a 1X maybe picking up there? Certainly pushing it on the exit. It's at least when I was driving around here recently, it was on the exit rather than the actual chicane. It's very easy to pick up the 1X through there. Then, yeah, there's just a couple of other spots on the circuit, like coming out of turn 3, you can run a little bit wide because of the extended sort of runoff area there. Around this part of the circuit's not so bad because you can see that the gravel's on the edge of the circuit, and gravel is so disadvantageous in iRacing these days that you don't really want to go anywhere near it, frankly. And then the final chicane as well, you can pick it up, but you have to really be going out into, I mean, you'll be basically at Le Mans by the time you pick up the penalty there, because you've got to go all 4 wheels beyond the serrated curb, I believe, in order to pick up the 1X there. Rodder's with a slowdown, and that's not good for him because he's got Dowsett only 0.4 of a second behind. And I assume he picked up that slowdown at the chicane, and he's now just served it. So it took him quite a while to serve it, and Dowsett could get even better here for the man. He's having a very good day, the 5.14. He's now only 0.4 of a second behind as Devjack, who pitted back on lap 6. I wasn't sure if he was going to get to the end of the race. He is not going to the end of the race, and he's going to need a tiny splash and dash to get to the end.
What a shame that could put Green back up into P8 after his dramas earlier on.
Unfortunately for Green, he pitted on lap 7. So if Devjack had to pit, unfortunately Green's going to have to pit as well.
Have to pit. That was obviously because of the damage to his car, wasn't it, for Green? Yeah. So yeah, he's possibly going to have to pit in a lap also. But Eduardo's coming under pressure from Dowsett towards the hairpin. Dowsett makes a late move out. He's not going to get that stopped, and he sails on by. The problem is Eduardo's went so deep as well in avoidance of Dowsett. The Dowsett's not actually lost that much time there, and yeah, that was just Dowsett too late on the brakes, went in too hot, and Eduardo's gave him the space. Lost a bit of time as Dowsett, but he's not lost as much as he probably would have done. And this is Andrew Cash coming under pressure now from Spinozzi in the BMW. BMW's looked a strong car around the Magny-Cours circuit. They all have, to be fair. I suppose Mercedes, Porsches and the BMWs have all looked pretty strong. And yeah, through goes Spinozzi on Cash there. And you say in a moment ago that you don't want to touch the gravel on iRacing. This is for me why the old school circuits are the best tracks, because even in the real world, you don't want to be in the gravel anyway. And tracks like this, you've got a little bit of AstroTurf just on the outside of the... Not enough that you can be greedy with it, because you're going to put a wheel in the gravel and it's just going to cost you time. I'm a huge fan of that. I think more motorsport tracks should have that, because I think that provides better racing. You're going to push the cars as much as you can. Push it too hard, you're going to be in the gravel. Yeah,
definitely. I think that's what a lot of circuits are doing now, isn't it? In terms of they sort of had like a patch of gravel or a patch of grass sort of just in the edge of the circuit, even if there is runoff area after that. It just acts as a physical turn. I mean, that's that's always the big thing when it comes to track limits. You need to have a physical turn rather than a white line, because when you're driving, it's so much easier when you got that thing to visualize, and when there's actually like a deterrent to actually hit there. I mean, you're not going to track extend at Monaco, for example, are you? Because there's a wall right there. So that is a necessary thing, and yeah, good. That's a lot of circuits are sort of starting to do that a little bit more. So Eduardo is still ahead of Dowsett after that crazy move that Dowsett tried, where he really just went for an early apex into the hairpin. Lost them both a lot of time to Noxie behind. Lost them, I think, lost Dowsett about 1.5 seconds to the car behind. Broadbent, by the way, has got a black flag, so he'll have to serve a drive-through, and that will lose him a place to Ben Mitchell, because he's only 10 seconds ahead of Mitchell. So keep an eye out for that one in a second.
Mitchell has struggled in that Ford Mustang this feature race. It just hasn't looked comfortable, has it?
Well, he started off really well, didn't he? But then he had that long pit stop. So he had a 40-second pit stop. But even with that 40 seconds, he'd still only be running, I think, 1 place higher. So, well, if he...
After everybody...
Yeah, well, he's 43 seconds behind DevJack, so I think he'd still be behind DevJack. But yeah, before the pit stop, he was running really well. So yeah, it really has fallen away from him. As we have side-by-side between Green and Spinozzi. Green's still got to come into the pits, I think, and Spinozzi will get past him.
Going to try and get past him, just pushes him a little wide on the exit of the... Stays out on the circuit. So,
wow.
Yeah, keep your eyes on that, because Cash is involved as well. So this is a good little three-way fight here. 8th, 9th and 10th, and we've got Noxie going side by side with in towards a hairpin corner, and Noxie gets it stopped on the apex, and through she goes. The Ford Mustang makes a move over the Mercedes-Benz. So it's a fight for P4, 5 and 6, because you've got Eduardo's just up the road, and there's Borman in the background. He's kind of fell off of this battle, but he did have that moment earlier on, that little spin. So he's trying to recover from that one, maybe just bringing the car. And we're into the final minute of this race. There will be one to go. Where's Dom Bray? Yeah, just ending his lap now, so will be 1 lap to go in this race. He's opened the gap back up to Snell to 6.5 seconds, so Dom Bray has had the upper hand over Snell, and you just have to wonder what would have happened in race 1 had Dom Bray not been caught up in a few dramas in that one. Could he have put Snell under pressure? Snell obviously taking a first and what looks to be a second place at the moment in this race, and that's going to really help him. His champion standings was 13 points clear going into today, and with the race win just going to extend a little bit more, and yeah, possibly looking to extend even more now. Dowsett has really fallen off the cliff here, because he's lost to Noxie, has fell 3 seconds back to Noxie in a lap, and he's now under such pressure from Borman. What has happened to Michael Dowsett here? He has just dropped away.
Well, he got a slowdown when he got overtaken. He actually cut the hairpin when he got overtaken, and then had a bad rest of the lap. So yeah, he's really lost his momentum. He's got to keep focused now, because he's sort of handed this a bit to Borman. He lost 4 seconds on that last lap compared to where he has been lapping. Borman, this is going to be his best shot. This when it's in his hands, he might have to rely on a mistake from the car ahead if he's going to pass later on in the lap, but he's not close enough to go for it at the hairpin. Good work there from Dowsett. Eduardo's being put under increasing pressure from Ian Noxie, but Noxie is in the same boat really as Borman, where the opportunities are running out, and so far ahead of these guys is Guillaume Dombray, and he's going to take the race 2 win.
He is going to take the race 2 win, comes into the final couple of corners now, and what a dominant display in this second race. Had to make some moves and do it in the pit lane and break line as your race winner in this second race. And this is the fight for P4 as Stella's finished in second, and Ian Noxie going up the inside. Did he just make contact? No, he didn't. The camera angle a little bit deceiving there. Oh no, it's not the final corner. Apologies, got that wrong. But Noxie has that inside line. Does he have the momentum? Does not. Mercedes stays in front. Now it's into the... Now he looks up the inside. Now he gets the move done. And Ian Noxie right at the very end, as there's a spin for Mitchell as he's crossed the line backwards. They split Mitchell, and Noxie will come home for a fantastic P4. Borman has got ahead of Dowsett. And where is Dowsett on track? Because he is nowhere in sight. There he is. He appears now. And he's going to come home for P7. So maybe a bit of argy-bargy between them two, or a mistake from Dowsett on his own. We'll try and see if we can see that one late on. Spinozzi P8, Green in P9 after his damage earlier on, ahead of Cash in 10th. Mitchell's finished 13th, Broadbent has finished 14th. And then I believe Vantigiato has retired from this race 7 laps down in this one. This is what has happened then between Borman and that of Dowsett. That is Broadbent in the Corvette who down, so hopefully not another lap driver beating.
No.
Wow! Drop that on his own. That's got to be under the braking.
Yeah, it's really strange, isn't it? Both Dowsett and Borman with late issues with the rear of the car. And they both really struggled towards the end of the race. Like, the tyre wear really shouldn't be that much of an issue, even around a fairly tough circuit like this. And yeah, both of them in the second stint, way less confidence. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Maybe just overheating their tyres, perhaps maybe having a slide, and then there's really not much place for the tyres to cool down around this circuit. So that is what happened to Dowsett. So yeah, fortunately he lost him down to 7th. And actually not as many black flags as I thought. There was a couple of instances near the end where I saw drivers going like beyond the white lines, and I thought, eek, maybe they're going to pick up a black flag now. But actually, we only had 1 or 2, I think, in that second race. So good job from the drivers to keep it within the white lines for the most part.
Very well behaved from them drivers there. We can get the final classifications before chatting with a couple of drivers in the chat. But it is Don Bray, who 5.6. Ben Snell, Dante Oliva in 3rd place here. Noxie got 4th right at the very end. P5. Scott Borman, P6 out of Michael Dowsett. Alex Spinozzi, Nick Green, and Andrew Cash, your top 10.
Yes, and then in 11th position was Peter Ferraro. Then it was Stephen Devjak, Ben Mitchell, Luke Broadbent, Michael Angeli, Ivan Vantagiato, Michael Massey, Hamish Scott in 18th place, and I think that is everyone. Unfortunately, we're pretty much out of time now, so we won't be able to have a chat with our interviewees this week, but maybe in future weeks we might be able to afford a little bit more time. But of course, you were saying earlier on how it's going to be Jerez next time out, so people should definitely tune in for that.
Indeed, they should. We'll see you in a week's time. We'll be back for the Jerez race for round 4 of the season. But thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.